Every time I wanted to eat, I first had to cross a swimming pool. My clothes could not get wet. If they did, I wasn't allowed into the dining hall. I watched the older students walk across floating wooden logs so easily. It looked simple. So I stepped onto the first log and instantly fell into the water. By the time I reached the dining hall, my clothes were completely wet. A senior monk stopped me at the door and told me to wait until they dried. When I finally got inside, all the food was gone. Then I saw another dining hall and walked in. But it was only for the masters. The head monk smiled and said, "If you want food, you must earn it." He pointed at a floating log and said, "Stand on it, and this bowl of porridge is yours." I climbed onto the log. 1 second later, I was back in the water. As punishment, I spent the whole day washing dishes. The next morning, I tried to climb over the wall to sneak inside. Just as I reached the top, the head monk pushed me back into the pool. Everyone laughed. At that moment, I made a promise to myself. I would never lose again. That night, after everyone was asleep, I found 2 wooden barrels and started practicing alone. I fell again, but every time, I got back up. Slowly, I learned how to keep my balance. Soon, I could stand and even walk across the moving barrels without falling. The next morning, everyone expected me to fail again. But this time, I crossed the entire pool with ease. The whole courtyard went completely silent. But the head monk was not impressed. He replaced the floating logs with thin wooden planks. Now, even the best students kept falling into the water. I tried too, and I fell again. Day and night, we practiced, but nothing worked. Then the head monk gave me a plate and said, "Throw it into the water." I threw it, and it sank immediately. Then he threw another plate. Instead of sinking, it skipped across the surface of the water. He smiled and said, "The harder you step, the faster the wood sinks." At that moment, I finally understood. Every night, I practiced alone beside the pool and tried again. After many days, I finally mastered the art of running across the floating planks. The head monk watched everything in silence. Soon, he sent me to chamber 34. My new training was to carry 2 heavy buckets filled with water. Sharp blades were fixed on both sides. One small mistake could seriously injure me. For 3 months, my hands were covered in blisters. But little by little, my body became as steady as a mountain. I even started helping the other students carry their buckets. Happy with my progress, the head monk sent me to chamber 33. There were no weapons inside. Only a huge bell and a wooden drum. Every time the monk hit the drum, I had to ring the bell at exactly the same moment. Then he handed me a giant hammer. I used all my strength, but I couldn't even lift it. That's when I realized this wasn't bell training. It was wrist training. The hammer was attached to the end of a 1-2 FOOT bamboo pole, making it incredibly heavy. My wrists hurt again and again. The pole